everybody, welcome in. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of your Saturday. I've got a fun earrings project for you guys today that is, it's going to go by pretty quickly, but who doesn't love quick and easy instant gratification jewelry, especially on a weekend, right? So for those of you who have never taken a class with me before, my name is Sara Lovecraft. I'm a designer for Beadalon, and I do a lot of work with wire, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. So the earrings for today's project are inspired by the dreaded high school. Well, I don't know. I guess it kind of depends on who you were in high school and how you feel about high school dances, how you felt about them. But school, at least here where I am, school has just started back. And there is actually a dance that's scheduled coming up in the next 2 or 3 weeks. It seems like dances are a great opportunity for everybody to get together. So the sooner they can plan those, the better. And I feel like that is the case this year for sure. And sometimes you need a little something extra. So maybe we're not in high school anymore. We are not getting ready for a high school dance, but we still like to have a little sparkle in our lives. So whether you want to make yourself a pair of earrings, or maybe you have a high schooler in your life who needs a pair of earrings that are unlike anybody else's, this is going to be a fun little project that you're going to be able to recreate using whatever beads you want. You can use the beads that are listed and grab those from Michael's, or you could go to Michael's and grab some different beads and come up with a completely different look just by changing the beads that you use. So I'm going to get you turned around. We're going to talk about those beads and the materials, and then we're going to get started with our project. All right, so this project doesn't take a whole lot of materials, which is always nice, but you're going to need some beads. I have these really cool acrylic beads. Now, these are actually what the inspiration for this project was. These sparkly, they kind of look like a disco ball. They just look like a party. So these were the inspiration. This is going to be the drop bead in our earring. You're going to need 2 of these. Michael's has these in a bunch of different colors. So if you don't like this kind of peacock blue green, you definitely could pick something different. Or you could use pearls, like great big glass pearls would be beautiful. You really can use just anything that you want, but I think these are very party appropriate. And the other beads you're going to need are some just some black glass. These are round beads, 6 millimeter. And I got these on a card. You guys know how I love these cards that have more than one size. Sometimes they have more than one shape, as these do. There are some faceted rondelles, as well as a couple of different sizes of just the round beads. And so I love these just because you can get a whole lot of projects for your money out of the cards like this. And then the other beads are just these little tiny faceted beads, and you can get those on that card. You can get them this way as well, where it's a strand of 2, just little facets, but you could use bicones, you could use seed beads, you could use just about whatever you want for this part. This is a very flexible project where you can use a lot of different things. All right, so as far as your wire is concerned, we're going to be using some 18 gauge German style wire. You're going to need a 4-inch piece. You're going to need 2 for each earring, but 1 because we're only going to make one of the earrings together here. But you're going to need 1 4-inch piece of 18 gauge wire. You're going to need some 22 gauge wire, about 4 inches of that as well. And this is also German style wire. And then you're also going to need some 24 gauge wire, and the 24 gauge wire, you're going to need about 10 inches of that. We're going to do a little bit of wire wrapping, but not anything super complicated. Okay. All right. And your tools, you just need the basics. You're going to need 2 pairs of pliers and a pair of round nose pliers. You're also going to need a cutter tool and your nylon jaw pliers, because we're going to do a knotted head pin, and you've got to have your nylon jaw pliers for that. That's actually the first thing we're going to do to get started. So we're going to start out with one of our little disco ball beads, if you will, and we're going to make a knotted head pin. The reason we're making a knotted head pin is because you'll notice that with these beads, the hole on them is a little bit bigger than what a normal head pin, like a pre-made head pin, will hold. That normal head pin that you just buy is going to slip through there. Now, you can alternate or an alternative solution to that would be to take your head pin and maybe put a seed bead on the end of it, and that'll hold your bead. But we're going to do a knotted head pin because this is just a really nice trick to have for any kind of jewelry making. So we're going to take our 22 gauge piece of wire, and we're going to take our round nose pliers. We're going to grab the very tip of that wire with the very tip of the pliers. So the tip of both. And we just want to turn the wire around the tip of those pliers all the way around once, and then we're going to go all the way around a second time. So basically we're creating a little coil out of our wire at the very tip of our pliers. Now, before you take this off of the tool, you want to take the wire and you want to bend it so that the wire is running underneath the coils that you made. So that wire needs to be running in the opposite direction of the handle of the tool and your hands. Okay, so it's going this way. All right, we're going to take it off of the tool. We're going to grab that wire and we're going to take the end of it, and notice I'm kind of bending it back. And we're going to stick it through the two coils that we just made. Makes sort of like a little lasso shape. This is where those nylon jaw pliers are going to come in. You got to use the nylon jaw pliers to hold on to that wire. You want to grab it right next to the coils that you just made. And we're going to pull this wire through the jaw of these pliers, which is going to do a couple of things. It's going to work harden, but it's also going to help to pull a knot into the end of this wire. The reason the nylon jaw pliers are so important is because you cannot do this with regular pliers. If you do, and you pull this wire through the jaws of regular metal pliers, you're going to strip off that coating that's on the outside of your wire, and you're going to damage the wire. So grab the tail end of that wire and pull. And when you pull, you want to pull nice and tight, and that's going to tie, or it's going to pull a little knot into the end of your wire. All right, so now we're going to take our bead and we're going to drop that down, and you can see that knot is going to be big enough to hold that bead onto the wire. So now we're going to do a wrapped loop, but we're going to do a doubled wrapped loop. So let me show you what I mean. We're going to start out with all the same steps to a regular wrapped loop. We're going to grab the wire and we're going to hold on to it. We're going to bend the wire over the top of the pliers. That way, when we take the pliers away, we have pre-measured here without using a ruler, which is nice, the right amount of room for our wire wraps. So now we can come in with our round nose pliers and grab that wire. And we're going to take the wire up and over the top barrel of the pliers. And then we're going to rotate the pliers and take the wire over to the other side. We just needed to move that bottom barrel to the top so that we could complete that loop. Now we're going to do the wire wrap. So I'm wrapping from the loop down to the bead, about 4 wraps. Now with the leftover wire, I'm going to go back up the wire wraps. So I'm basically just doing like a second layer of wire wraps. We're going from the bottom to the top. I'm just wrapping over the top of the wraps that we just made. And that just kind of thickens it up a little bit. It thickens up the wire wraps. It also makes things a little bit more balanced because this is a big bead. And if we left it with just those wire wraps, it would have been fine, but it looked a little unbalanced. So when you thicken up those wraps, it makes everything just kind of feel a little bit more balanced, for the lack of a better word. I mean, that's all I can think of. I know I've said balanced like 3 times now, but that's what I mean, because it really does. It makes everything look proportionate. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. It's more proportionate to the wire wraps to the bead are more proportionate. Okay. All right. So this guy is ready to go. We're going to sit this down and we're going to make the body of the earring now. This is the drop. It's ready to go. And now we're going to work on the body. So we need 4 inches of 18 gauge wire, and you want to make sure it's nice and straight. Okay. Then we're going to use our round nose pliers to turn a simple loop at the bottom of the wire. So I'm going to grab the wire with my round nose pliers, and I'm just turning a little loop. It's basically like a little pea shape, but now I want to center it up. So I'm going to put that back on the pliers, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a simple little turn, and that's going to center the wire up in our loop. Okay, so now it looks like an eye pin that we've just created with our 18 gauge wire. All right, so now we have the body. We're ready to get started with the rest. We're going to take that 10-inch piece of our 24 gauge wire. This looks like more than 4 inches. Hold on a minute. I grabbed the wrong piece of wire. Let's try that again. In fact, let's bring out our ruler just to be sure, because that piece of wire looked a little, oh, maybe not. Nope, that was the right piece. 4 inches just seems like very long. All right, well, we're just going to go with it. Okay, so we are going to take our 24 gauge piece of wire, and we want to anchor it to our newly formed eye pin. So I'm just going to take that. I'm going to lay it across the wire and I'm going to wire wrap about 2 or 3 times, just like that. And then I'm going to push that down so that it's right up against the loop that we just created. Okay. Now I'm going to take one of the 6mm black beads and I'm going to thread that on, and it's going to sit right next to the wraps that we just made. Okay. And if you need to go ahead and trim off your tail, you can. I'm going to leave mine for now. All right. Now I'm going to pick up some of those little tiny faceted beads, and I'm going to pick up 4 of those with my 24 gauge wire. Okay. So we're using our wrapping wire. So there's 4. I'm going to drop those down just like that. And then we're going to do about 3 wire wraps. So first, before we do those wire wraps, whoops, I lost my 6mm bead. We need to curve that little section of beads around the side of our 6mm bead. So basically we're just creating a little arch of those beads, just like that. And then we're going to wrap around the 18 gauge wire with our 24 gauge wire, just to kind of lock those in place with about 3 wire wraps. We want that wire to end over here on the opposite side. Okay, so you're going to do your wire wraps to anchor it to the 18 gauge wire, thread on 4 beads, curve those beads around the 6mm bead, and then wire wrap. And you want to finish on the opposite side. So your beads are here and your wire is over on the opposite side. Okay, we're going to grab another 6mm bead and we're going to drop it down. It's going to sit right on top of the wire wraps that we just created. And we're going to repeat the same process. So we're going to take our 24 gauge wire, that's the smaller wire here, and we're going to pick up 4 of the little faceted beads. Oops. Okay. And then we're just going to drop those down. I lost one. Okay. Drop those down. And then we also lost our 6mm bead. These beads are trying to escape today. There we go. All right. Now we're going to curve those around the opposite side, right? And then we're going to wire wrap to that 18 gauge wire. And when we finish, we want to finish out on the opposite side. So you can see our little curves of our smaller beads are on the opposite sides of each other, right? So there's those over here and then these over here, and then we're going to finish on the other side. Okay, so we're going to take another 6mm bead, drop it down, and then we need some more of our facets. I'm going to have to cut these off of the strand here. And this is going by pretty quickly, so we may do the second earring together as well, because I didn't realize just how quick this project was going to go by. We'll do both earrings so that we have the set. Okay, so there's our 4 facets. I lost that 6mm bead again, but it's no problem. Just pop it right back down. Okay, and then the same thing, you're just going to slide those beads down and you just want to create that little arch with those beads and wire wrap around that 18 gauge wire. And you can twist. You see how I was twisting the whole piece, or you can just wrap around. It's up to you. It's whatever is the most comfortable. All right, so now we have a lot of this 18 gauge wire left over, and you can continue. You've got room for probably 3 more of these if you want to make these extra long, right? You can make extra long earrings by utilizing the rest of this wire. Otherwise, let's just go ahead and trim this off. And we're also going to come down here to this end and we're going to trim off our tail. Okay, now we need to do a simple loop here at the top. And so to do our simple loop this time, we're going to take our chain nose pliers and we're going to take that wire and we're going to bend it, right? Just like that. And make sure you're not bending your wire wraps. You want to bend right over the top of those wire wraps. Then you want to come in with your cutter tool and you want to trim off. You want to leave yourself about 1/4 of an inch of wire, maybe just a hair more than 1/4 of an inch of the wire. Trim that off. And then you're going to use your round nose pliers to grab that wire and you're going to roll to create your loop. Okay. Now, the only thing we have left to do is just add our ear wire and our bottom bead. Like, so easy. These are super, super quick, but they're so cool. They're very sparkly. They're great for a party. We're going to take that bottom loop that we made. We're going to use a pair of chain nose pliers, and I'm just going to twist to open that. And then I'm going to thread on our drop bead. And we're going to twist to close that back. And then we're just going to add our ear wire and the earring is done. So we'll do the second one just so that we have the full set. Go through those pretty quickly. And then I will let you guys go so you can see it one more time. They're really sparkly, really, really pretty. A lot of fun. And like I said, you can change these up. You could do all of this with pearls. That would be really, really classy looking. You use a big drop pearl down here, or even one that is a teardrop shape. It doesn't even have to be round. And then you use smaller pearls for the little arches and pearls here, or you could switch this up and use crystals. You really could do this with anything. Let's do the other earring and then I'll let you guys go. So just to kind of recap, we're using a piece of 18 gauge wire that's about 4 inches long. And I'm going to go ahead and measure that just so I have exactly what I need here. And the 4 inches is a little bit long, but you definitely want to have more than you need. You can't really add wire to this. I'm going to use my nylon jaw pliers just to straighten my wire piece out a little bit. Okay, so same steps as before. We're going to come in with our round nose pliers and we are going to turn a loop on the bottom. So I'm just going to roll to create that P shape. And then I want to just give it a slight bend, and that's going to center up the wire with our loop. I'm going to sit this to the side. Okay. We're going to grab another piece of 22 gauge wire and we're going to do our knotted head pin. That's definitely something worth seeing a second time, right? So we're going to come in with our round nose pliers. We're going to grab the very tip of the wire with the very tip of the pliers. And we are going to roll that around the tip of the pliers all the way around once, and then a second time directly underneath the first one. And you want to stop where you see the cut in the wire. So you've got a coil of 2 wires. Take that wire and bend it so it is going underneath those coils. You're going to take that off of the tool, take the tail end of that wire and turn it back around and stick it through those 2 coils that you just made. Bring in your nylon jaw pliers, grab the wire right next to the 2 coils, use another pair of pliers to pull. And you're going to pull a knot right into the end of that wire. And then you want to drop down your bead. And we're going to do that wrapped loop, but we're going to double it up. So chain nose pliers, give the wire a bend, and then we're going to come in with our round nose pliers, taking that wire up and over, rotate the pliers to take the wire over to the other side, and then wire wrap from the bottom, from the bottom of the loop to the top of your bead. And then when you get all 4 of those, you're going to go back up. So you're going to go over the wraps that you already did from the bead back up to the loop that you made. Okay. And then we're just going to trim off the excess. Okay. And we're going to sit this down. And we're going to grab another 10-inch piece of our 24 gauge wire here. We're going to anchor this to our 18 gauge, right? So we just want to lay that across, and we want to do about 2 or 3 wraps Then we're just going to slide those down right next to the loop. Okay. Now we're going to add a 6mm bead to the 18 gauge wire and 4 facets to the 24 gauge wire. So there's our 4 beads. We're going to drop those down, and we want to curve those around that 6mm bead and then wire wrap. So about 3 wraps, and then end with your wire on the opposite side of the curved beads. Okay. We're going to pick up 4 more of the facets on that 24 gauge wire. It's hard to see these little faceted beads because they're black. It's very hard to see the hole on those. Okay, so 4 of those, and we need our 6mm bead to go onto our 18 gauge wire, and then curve those beads around and wire wrap. Okay, finish with your wire wrap on the opposite side. We need 4 more. Okay, drop those down, bring in another 6mm bead. We're almost done again. So these work up really, really quickly. Guide those around the edge and then wire wrap. Okay, and we're ready to trim off. We're going to take our chain nose pliers, grabbing that 18 gauge wire, and we're going to bend it. We're going to come in with our cutter tool and trim off, leaving ourselves about 1/4 of an inch of wire. And then use our round nose pliers and to roll back for our loop. And we're going to trim off our wire down here on the bottom. And last but not least, add our drop bead and our ear wire. And we've got the second pair, or the second, the second earring for our pair rather. Just open those up and thread that on, and you're done. And you, in, gosh, under 25 minutes, we have we have a set. Gosh, we have a set of really cool party earrings. So much fun. They're so sparkly and so versatile because you really could change these up. Not only could you change these up, if you wanted to, just a little side note before I let you guys go, with your leftover wire. So let's say we started out with that 24-inch, or I'm sorry, that 10-inch piece of 24 gauge wire, and we ended up here. Instead of cutting that wire off, you technically could go back down the earring. Okay, so for instance, let me just give you just a little visual aid, just real quick, and then I promise I'll let you go. Let's pretend like we didn't cut this wire off. I'm just going to anchor it up here. Just okay. Pretend like that's not anchored, but it's that same piece that we started with. If you wanted to, you could pick up 4 more of these facets, right? And you could go back down the other side of the earring and make these look like little flowers if you wanted to, right? So you could curve, and then you could wrap over the wraps that you've already got and add another 4 beads for that side and another 4 beads for this side, and finish at the bottom. And you have a totally different pair of earrings, even though it's exactly the same. We'll do that real quick, just so you can see the difference, because we have a little bit of time. Why not? Just want to be sure that you have all the inspiration that you need going forward, right? So just making that curve on the opposite side, wrap around the wire wraps that already exist, kind of wiggle you got to wiggle your wire between those beads, right? But it's not impossible. All right, so 4 more. Drop that down. And then to finish off, I'm just going to wire wrap over these wire wraps down here at the bottom. And I'm going to trim off my wire. Come back up here to the top and trim off as well. Now you have a totally different pair of earrings, right? So there you go. You've got 2 options. So if you wanted to cut that 24-inch piece of wire a little bit longer, mine are a little, I could clean that up a little bit more. I was in a hurry, but I just wanted to show you. But you could cut that instead of making it a 10-inch piece of wire, you can make it a 20-inch piece of wire and go back down the other side and make these look like little flowers if you wanted to. I kind of like it where it's just on, you know, one on each side, one little curve on each side, but it's up to you, right? It's up to you. You've got options, lots of different things that you can do with just some very, very simple techniques. All right, I'm going to turn you guys around. I'm going to show you what these look like on, or just from another point of view. And then I'm going to let you guys go. So just so you can see, these are the originals, right? Oh, super cute. Accidentally hit a setting there. Really, really cute. And then your alternative to that would be these guys, which, like I said, mine could be cleaned up a little bit, but I did give you another option and even more sparkly, right? Who doesn't love sparkle? So you've got options. There's some really cool, very easy earrings that you can work up really quickly. These will also be really good for a bridal party. Like if you've got to make a bunch of earrings for like all the bridesmaids, these work up really, really quickly. I've still got tons of beads left over. So you can see, like I still have all of this left over, and I still have 4 of the disco ball beads. So it's money-wise, it's very economical, and you've got one-of-a-kind pair of earrings, like for that high school dance. If somebody needs a pair of earrings that nobody else is going to have, this is definitely going to be that. But you can change these up and make them whatever you want them to be. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me for this Saturday class. I hope that you have enjoyed it. I hope that I have inspired you. Thank you so, so much. I always appreciate seeing everybody here. If you make this, don't forget to use the hashtags Make It With Michaels or hashtag Beadalon. And don't forget that you can see this again over on the Michaels YouTube channel about 24 to 48 hours if you want to rewatch this project. Be sure you check out all of the other great tutorials, not just for jewelry making, but for everything. And I will be back with you guys soon with another fun class. Until then, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful upcoming week. I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.